Cool. Hello there. I'm Nino Rodriguez, and we're live from the apocalypse. Actually, I'm Louis Herms, and this is a historical day, and tomorrow will be another historical day. I don't generally do dates because, we want our stuff to stay online as long as possible. But today is June 1st, 2026, and this is an epic event I'm very, very excited about. We are at, my wife and I, our friend's med spa. His name Brian. He's going to come here. And it's a med spa slash frequency slash the best testing of anything you can possibly be amazed at, and the healing center. It just absolutely blows me away what goes on here, and he's a wonderful dude. So we're going to bring him up in a moment. But thank you for everybody that's here. Thank you for all the support that you have given myself, my team, and the campaign, and even outside the state of California for we the people of California, because regardless of what happens tomorrow, regardless if I get 1,000 votes or 1,000,000 votes, we have done epic changes, and we see candidates now doing something crazy. You know what the candidates are talking about? Child sex slavery. Thank you to you. Thank you to we the people. Thank you for us pressuring them. You know what else they're talking about? They're talking about election fraud. Go figure, right? Thank you to you and what you've done. They're talking about, I said a long time ago that in California, we probably have something called WARF that's at 75%. Waste, abuse, redundancy, and fraud. What are they talking about? They're talking about all of that now. And they're talking about the corruption. And they're talking about this crazy thing. When I say they, I'm not including the establishment. I'm definitely not including the mainstream media, and I'm not talking about the fake conservatives. But you know what they are talking about? They're talking about the illusion of choice in regards to elections. And that's a big deal, because the reality is the founding fathers, James Madison, John Adams, George Washington, all indicated that the death of America would be a two-party system. Think about that. Thomas Jefferson said, if I had to choose a party in order to get into heaven, I'm not going to heaven. They had it figured out a long time ago. Plato said, if you want to control a society, you need to use the illusion of choice. Machiavelli perfectly used the illusion of choice to control. But where are we today? Black versus white, red versus blue, conservative, liberal. See where it is? And the reality is we've traveled up and down this country, and we've opened our platform up to everybody. We can tell you that Democrats and Republicans are actually aligned 85% of the time. 85% of the time. But it's the 15% that the party leaders and the news media always want you to talk about. Why do you think they want you to only talk about the 15%? Because if they divide, they do what? They conquer. So we're here today, and we're bringing a completely new paradigm, not just to California, to the complete United States, to every locality, and to the world. And we're very excited to be part of leading that charge. And we cannot believe how many people came in as Republicans and Democrats into the election, and they've already flipped their party to a non-political preference, because the writing's on the wall. Writing's on the wall that's so much that the non-Democrat and the non-Republican party right now is at 30%. Republicans are 20% in California. Now, the mainstream apparatus isn't telling you anything about the 30%. Why? Because as soon as we the people take their voices back, their systems crumble. It's a beautiful day, and we are moving forward. We're so excited about the future. So let me introduce our friend, the person that's going to explain these incredible modalities that I promised that we were going to bring to California. Well, he's already here. We're in Westlake Village, guys. If y'all are close to Westlake Village, you have to come down to Sports IQ. It will blow you away. Let me bring up our friend, Mr. Brian. Come on.
Well, thank you guys. Thank you, Louis. Thank you guys for coming out. So here at Sports IQ, we specialize in all these different non-invasive frequency therapies. So The goal is to help you identify what's happening at that root cause level versus just kind of just chasing around all these different symptoms. So the goal is to help you identify at the root level and then get your body to naturally recover from whatever's going on. So one of the things we start with is just a non-invasive assessment. It takes about 10 minutes. We can help you start to look at all these different functions in the body. So we can look at your gut health, your hormone health, anything that's disruptive. We can help you start to identify and put some pieces together of what that is. So, a lot of times your blood work might not give you, all the information. So our goal is to help kind of fill in the gaps and help you identify, what those disruptions could be. And then you can see all around, we have all these different frequency systems here. So once we identify what that issue is, we can start to help your body naturally recover. So it's like recharge the cells, get them back into normal kind of cell function and start to like get that issue out, So your body has the ability to heal from anything. It doesn't matter what it is. We just got to figure out what that blockage is and get the body to naturally recover. And then we like to include things like PEMF therapy, photobiomodulation, red light. We have this really cool thing over here called the cloud. So those are all to help get inflammation down in the body, because when you have too much inflammation, your body can't recover as well. So the goal is get that inflammation down, get your body to naturally recover. And then we like to put you in that room right there. So the cloud is, think of it like a breathable IV. It's got 78 minerals in it. It's got molecular hydrogen, and it helps hydrate you. So you go in there, it's kind of an immersive experience. So anyone can try it out tonight. And then we actually started plugging in some other modalities more recently. It's a new location for us. So we have Rebecca Bassam. She handles our brain mapping, neurofeedback, biofeedback. So gut health is important, but it's also how brain function is too, how you sleep, how you recover there too. So Rebecca helps us identify any disruptions there. We have thermography here. So sometimes maybe the wooey side of our reading doesn't maybe connect with you, but if we can give you a better visual of maybe there's a shoulder issue that hasn't gotten better, and we've been able to show you maybe a circulation issue that's disrupted there, or if there's gut issues, we can be supportive with thermography if like you don't really want to do a mammogram. Some of those can be kind of invasive, so it's maybe giving you some additional information there. Back here we have our sports med, physiotherapy, chiropractic, so all that kind of structural work like PT, if you're dealing with some old injuries or aches and pains, it's a good way to kind of help kind of loosen things up, get things well corrected. And then we're actually going to have some homeopathic doctor here as well soon. So, it's the goal here is to give you as much like visual and transparency on your health, so you know really what's going on, and that way you can make a better decision. So, there can be a lot of confusing information out there. The goal is to help try to consolidate it in one location, give you a little bit more transparency, a little bit more comfort when it comes to deciding what you need to do. Because sometimes you're told what to do, and that's not always the way we want to go, especially with maybe prescriptions and things like that. That doesn't always get you the answer. So the goal is get you that answer, give you some transparency, and kind of help your body naturally recover. So once we identify kind of what's going on, we can use all these different frequency systems to like target specific. So let's say you have a gut issue, maybe it's like bacterial related you've been dealing with for a long time. We can program maybe specific bacteria into the system to help your body disrupt it and get your body to like naturally recover from it. Any other questions?
Cool. Awesome. Thank you, Brian.
Yeah, of course. There you go.
Appreciate you.
Oh, of course.
Now, if you're local to the area, Brian is actually, he's going to offer you something very, very special. And this is completely non-commissionable to me. So it's just the best deal that he could possibly offer anybody he's going to do. So make sure you contact at Sports IQ, or you can reach out to us and we can give you his email and his contact information. Also, I don't like to post this stuff online because there's still a lot of knuckleheads that mess with things, right? I did want to mention something pretty cool, which you can't see on camera, but this cat has a Tesla coil right here in his lobby that you sit around, and it has amazing frequencies that come off of it. He catches me falling asleep often on that couch over there, but it's pretty awesome. So I want to bring next up our friend and somebody that's going to be working. She's like, me? Somebody that's going to be working in the future on our Maha programs, but she's also done a lot for us already. A good friend of my wife and I. Let's bring up Dr. Layla Ali.
I'm a pharmacist now for 25 years. And I got into the profession because I wanted to have the good life. You know, like you see in the drug commercials, everybody's happy, they have friends and family, and they're in love. Said my life is more like the side effects they mumble at the end. Cause nausea, vomiting, depression, changes in personality, anal leakage. That's a comedy portion of my presentation. I had a customer come in a few days ago and he looked miserable. He said he'd been constipated for 3 days. So I would have never guessed you look like such a regular guy. That's it. This brings us to Lewis. No. So I grew up in a household. My father was a medical doctor and a surgeon, and my mother a surgical technologist. So I didn't know there was any other holistic treatments available. And so when I went to pharmacy school, I wanted to continue the knowledge and understand it and have access to the meds. And so it was after pharmacy school that I had an epiphany that there was something very wrong with our healthcare system. And people were talking about cleansing and detox, and I didn't know anything about it. So I asked a friend of mine for a cleanse, and I started reading these books, and it said 95% of diseases are caused by what we eat. And I'm like, that can't be true. I never heard that before. I mean, I have a doctor title in the healthcare profession. Somebody would have told me that. And at that point, I started going through all my old books, and it said, you know, reading some common diseases and what causes them. And it just had, it's like acid reflux, a complex balance of defense mechanisms and aggressive factors. And there's all this jibber jabber that didn't make any sense. So at that point, I knew something was wrong. And I've been on this journey trying to figure out what is going on for a long time. And I wrote my first book, 2012. It's called Off Balance, The American Way of Health, a pharmacist's perspective on why drugs don't work. And I also wrote a book on cancer. So you've been diagnosed with cancer and now you're in a panic, a few years ago. And I've been doing a deprescribing podcast for the last few years. And you learn so much. You learn that people are sick for years when they don't need to be. And I met Lewis a few years ago when they were doing the Truth Tour. And I hadn't spoken for a couple of years. And I just I did my presentation and I had TMJ so bad I could barely talk. But he heard the message, you know, so I've been, we're resonating since then, right? And I have a new hairdresser too. And but here's what I see at the pharmacy. And I see people suffering. You see, if you go to the doctor and you're in pain, you're going to get a narcotic, right? And there's tons of ways to get out of pain. They'll never give it to you. And when I was at the mail order pharmacy, they would have it, okay, people are getting tons of pain meds. So all of a sudden they change everybody over 80% long acting and 20% immediate, and that's it. Everybody just changed over black and white. If they called you, had these talking points. And so they play all these games to adjust them and make sure they don't get it, but they never give you Reiki. They never give you acupuncture. They never give you energy healing, nothing like that. And there's so many ways to heal. If you go to the doctor with diabetes, you're going to cost $18,000 per year. You're going to be on medications, maybe insulin. You'll be tested several times a day. And those drugs don't heal you. They just hold it in place, and eventually you still have pain. Disease still progresses. So people still get amputations. They still have complications and heart disease. So disease after disease, there's so many treatments, you know. And I remember in pharmacy school, they would say, oh, this herbal remedy, but it's not FDA approved. Like we thought that was for real, you know, like that was the thing back then. So now we know it's all a lie. So and I can tell you right now, there's just a lot of ways to heal. We just had a story of a girl who had diverticulitis. She had parts of her colon removed, and she was so miserable. She just got out of the hospital. She goes, I'm not going to live like this. And she was ready to die, and she was able to heal herself when she left. So you see this where people surrender, and it shouldn't be a big story, right? People can just heal themselves, but the money's all there. So
cool. Tell them where they could find you.
What's that?
Tell them where they can find you.
Where they can find me. Oh, okay.
Like
So
how to get to your always. No,
right.
you're doing good. How they can find your.
Okay, my website is deprescribingpharmacist.org. I do a live podcast every week. You can join on Monday at 11 a.m. And so we have different guests sharing their stories. So we just did our 104th one.
Wow.
It's been like over 2 years. So
Congratulations.
and thank you. The first time you just step up, you're like, can I do this? And then you just keep going. And you just learn so much. So And yeah, thank you for having me part of your platform, and let's heal California.
Awesome.
Louis Herms.
Layla Ali. Awesome. Wonderful. Thank you. All right. We have one guest that probably nobody's ever heard of, right? I will just say, if you're watching online, put sunglasses on because there will be a shine off the top of his head. Let me bring in our friend that traveled all the way here from places unknown. You may otherwise know him as the great Michael Jaco.
So 24 years in the SEAL teams, at very top, SEAL Team 6, Tier 1 guy. Then I went to the CIA, worked for CIA for 11 years. So 35 years, working overseas. And what's interesting is I met Brian here that runs a clinic, and he was working on me. And we got to talking. One of the guys that does martial arts and did martial arts, I started the Navy SEALs' first hand-to-hand program. And then I went to the CIA, and this same guy worked with us and taught us, great stuff. And Brian worked with that guy as like on a incredible level. So Brian's a badass. Not only can he fix you, but he can like take you apart if he wants to. So wow, that's kind of energy field thing right there, right? So one of the things that I look at is energy like that. When I was overseas, I started to get to the point where I could go out with my consciousness and I could see where the bad guys were. And I would keep my teams from going out there, and we would keep, we'd stay safe. We wouldn't get attacked. So, I did that for many years. Like I said, 35 years. I helped find terrorists, Osama bin Laden. I helped find him. And then my old SEAL Team 6, Red Squadron, came in and got him. So I did that with probably about, I think 6 or 7 different terrorists. So during that time frame, I'm thinking to myself, here I am, I'm keeping America safe. And then I come back and I started to get involved with like Lewis and doing talk shows and so forth. And I'm realizing that we have worse terrorists here in the United States, right, that are running our governments and so forth. Very, very frustrating for someone that, risked my life, going out and keeping America safe, where these guys are coming in and making America extremely unsafe. So that's why, Lewis and I did many shows. We were bringing that to everyone's attention. And Lewis took it to an incredible level. He traveled all over the country, doing shows, educating people. I participated in a lot of those shows. And then Lewis took it to another level again, and is running for governor here in California. California, I remember when I was a little boy, I was like, I want to go to California someday. And once I became in the Navy, where was my first duty station? California. So I love California, but I do not like the politics. So I left California. And I won't come back until the politics come back to where, it allows us to have freedoms and it doesn't suppress us on an unbelievable level. Like I said, I've been all over the world. I fought against terrorists. We have the worst terrorists here in the United States that I've ever seen anywhere in the world, guys. So we really need to work together and overcome that. Gathering behind someone like Lewis, all the stuff that he's been speaking out about, these are the things that we need. And I see him. I followed obviously Lewis during his running for governor. All of the things that he brought out, it's like all of the top candidates now have stolen from him, and they're pushing, and they get the news. The news, follows them. I'm like, what is going on? So not only do we have the political realm compromised, but obviously the news as well. And I remember being overseas working with CIA, and I saw how we would manipulate the news around the world. And I was like, thank God we don't do that in the United States. And then I started to see the same patterning. So it is, it's frustrating, but it can be overcome. And I think Lewis is probably one of the best candidates I've seen throughout America. I mean, he should be president, quite frankly, after Trump leaves. So this has been a good start for Lewis. I hope that he, gets some great votes, and like I said, he should be at the #1 position. But we're looking at a organization that's extremely corrupt, and I've seen this, like I said, around the world, but no worse than anywhere else here in the United States. Very, very frustrating.
Mike?
That's it.
All righty. So that's it. Have a good night. So this is awesome to be here. This has been a year's journey, exactly. And it's been a crazy journey. I want to say first and foremost, thank you to my beautiful wife. If you understood the tears, the pain, financial headaches, and everything that she's been going on through in the background to support me, it's astronomical. Her big thing is she didn't know before this election cycle that there's normally more than 2 or 3 candidates at any one given time, because the suppression of the establishment, the system hasn't shown that on purpose, because we have that illusion of choice, right? So it's been heartbreaking. And she's like, God's asked you to do this. Why doesn't he open the doors? She's been really, really frustrated, having these conversations with God, like, what's going on? And probably why I'm running for governor, because I'm like, honey, this is God's plan. It's not our plan. Wherever we end up is where we're supposed to be. And she's like, I know. So I like to say, I love you so much, honey, and thank you for all your support. And it does not go missed, ever, ever. Thank you. And to my incredible staff and my right-hand people, I can't name them all, and I don't want to leave anybody out, but you know who you are. Many of you are here today. Just phenomenal, great, phenomenal work, and the support mechanism I have, and the work ethic is just amazing, amazing. And then all the people that couldn't be here, and the volunteers, and the online support, and the prayers. Even people like Mary Crowley just texted me today. What can I pray for you? How can I pray for you today? And constantly have these large organizations praying for us, right? So ultimately, the outcome is not as important sometimes as the journey. And I don't know if I'll get 1,000 votes or 1 million tomorrow, because the setup and the establishment, they won't pull me. Go figure. I wonder why, right? Maybe there's a reason why they refuse to. Whatever that is, we've made such epic strides. And before I continue, I want to give you some amazing hope. We have had so many young people, somewhere between 14 and 24 to 25-ish, that have come up to our bus or met me in public and throwing their support behind us. And they are so much more awake than even I was 10 years ago. That bodes so well, so well. Now, I can't say it's the same thing for the 30-somethings or the 80-somethings, but I can say that the future looks really bright, because that cat is not getting back in the bag, right? And they're walking up to me and they're holding me accountable. Okay, what are you going to do about this? How about this? Boom, 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 boom. I'm like, well, you know about that. You know about this. Oh, you enlightened me on that. That's interesting, right? Phenomenal. So there's a lot of hope going forward. And as you've heard me say for a long time, if you remember, President Trump said on January 20th, 2017, with a military contingent behind him, you don't have to love President Trump. That's up to you. But he did say something very important. He did say they gave it back to the people. And frankly, for the first 5 years after he said that, probably actually, I would say even longer, we dropped the ball. And we all have to be accountable for dropping the ball. And we did. We had expectations. Maybe somebody would come in on a white Pegasus and save us all, right? Some people were sitting on their couch with their froggy mask eating popcorn, whatever that was. We finally figured out, and I can tell you, because I don't think anybody's been more boots on the ground than my team in the last 5 years. I don't think anybody has, because I know how many cities I've been to, and I know how many. We're the only team that's went to all 58 counties to ask the register of voters for an interview. Historically, that's never happened in the history of California, right? We did it in 29 days. So nobody's been more boots on the ground. We know that. And I can tell you unequivocally that the appetite just 5 years ago was complete apathy. And now people are coming up, what can I do? How can I make a difference? Where do I need to go? Just put me in the right place. And they're not even talking about my campaign. They're talking about taking their city back, their counties back. They're talking about taking their school boards back. This is huge. So we must keep our foot on the neck of the evildoers, and we must continue to push forward because we are in what's called the momentum phase. And I'm a marketer by trade, and I can tell you what the momentum phase is the most important part of a business growth opportunity. We are right there in the momentum phase. So much so that if you're just even watching X, there's been more disclosure on election fraud in the last week than there has been in the last 5 years combined. There's been more disclosure on what really happened at J6 in the last week than the last 5 years combined. There's been more disclosure on vaccine injured and deaths from the congressional standpoint than there has been in the last 5 years combined. Do you think we are winning? You're damn right we are. We are winning. So if you're living in that ozone that, oh, well, Trump is cozying up to Israel, Trump is this, it's inconsequential. This is up to us. This is up to we the people. We the people are making a difference right now. We need to step up and make the difference. And we've got this. God's already won this war. But if we're going to win this war, we have to step up, do the work, and we're going to reap the harvest. And that's why you see so many people in this room with hats and shirts that say, we the people are the plan. We've always been the plan. We've always been the plan. And it is epic. And I can tell you moving forward, regardless of the outcome of this, I have some modalities and then things coming out that we are going to reset the United States as you know it. And I'm going to tell you this is a guarantee. This is a guarantee that you're going to see things out there that anybody that wants to make a difference in their city, their county, or state, we're going to do the work for them. And all they have to do is have the integrity to follow these processes. And we, the people, will take our country back. 100%. I've already seen it. And it's epic and it's glorious. But we are here right now, and everybody here is to make a difference, right? And we've totally got this. So I'll give you some ideas. So I've mentioned in California, there's 75% WARF, waste, abuse, redundancy, and fraud. So let's just talk about common sense. So if and they hide behind the words bureaucracy, they hide behind the words red tape, right? Where it's mismanaged. When does it become intent? When does it become theft? When does it become that these are evildoers that are intentionally stealing your money and hiding behind bureaucracy, red tape, mismanagement? There's nothing we can do. It's just kind of just too big. It's too bloated, right? Well, get the hell out of office then. Don't you need somebody with courage in there, right? Are you done with excuses? I certainly have been for a long time. But you all need to hold them accountable. And I'm explaining here, if somebody probably reminds me, because I know I'll forget, on how we can do that. So what would you do if you have such a massive bloated budget in virtually every county and state in the union? What do? Simple. And I've said often, if it's simple, it's God's work. If it's messy, something else is going on. Simple. You do a complete forensic audit of everything. And I'm going to go as far as you can. You don't have AI run it, but you can have AI manage portion of it. And you know why you would do that is because they can slim it down from 6 months to 2 weeks for you because you put in their markers. Look for this, look for this, look for this. Runs up, they go, here it is. And now you have to always, I've said this for a long time. When AI is involved, you need to have a human involved. Always. You're not going to run from AI. If you think you are, go find a homestead, something, hide in your hole, and I'll support that. I'll come visit you. We'll have lemonade and iced tea together. But the reality is we're not getting away from AI. So what do? You need to get as many benevolent-minded people, great-minded, loving people to manage it, to prevent it from going to where your fear is. By the way, as my wife always says, whatever you worry about, you're praying for. So be very careful if you're worrying about AI all the time. We need to manifest a different outcome in regards to AI. So I will use it to our benefit. Evildoers, did you create it? Great. Your weapons will be what? Turned against you. Do you remember that internet thing that was created to control everybody? How'd that work out for them? Backfired, because their weapons will be turned against them. The same thing that we'll do with AI. So we have to use that. Now, so if you go through the budget and you can get, let's say we only get rid of 50% of it. Did you know property taxes are illegal? Now, it's going to be hard to go through the court system for 7 to 10 years to get rid of property taxes, which you can do. But if you say, hey, 50% of the budget, we don't need it, what's their excuse now? Bye-bye property taxes. Bye-bye income taxes. There's enough revenue and sales tax already in here to take care of that. That's an easy thing that every state, every county can do right now. You know what else they can do? And they won't until you pressure them to do that. They can take the entire budget, less what is secretive, and put the whole budget online, itemized, like QuickBooks, that everybody can view anytime they want. How cool would it be to 100,000 digital soldiers every day tearing into this stuff, holding governments accountable? But is that common sense? Have you ever heard anybody talk about it before? It's crazy, right? Why would that be? Because the controllers, that's what they'd be very afraid of. So that's easy. So we the people get out our pitchforks and our torches and demand that these budgets are online. Not the way California plays games with it. California says, oh, we're the most transparent state out there. Did you know that? Did you know California actually puts their budget online? Yeah, you go click, click, $20 million to that department. Click, click, nothing. Okay, I guess $20 million, we're good with that, right? It's a game. Everything that you know is opposite what the truth is. I tell people constantly, you should watch CNN all day long and just reverse it and you know exactly what's going on, right? So that's another very simple modality to take care of. We have several of these things that we're going to lay out. But what if you would know ahead of time, worldwide, because I have somebody here that's across the pond. What if worldwide, you would know exactly where a candidate stood? What if there was a system that could give that to you? How cool would that be? And it has zero to do with party. And it will, I guarantee it will have nothing to do with party. But how cool if we had specifically, you must be authentic. You must have a history of doing something, and you must have these certain qualities that we can all agree upon and sign off to it, right? And actually take an oath before you even want to run. How cool would that be? Sure glad it's recorded because I just thought of that one. So these are cool things, right? This is the type of things that we're going to do. And it takes we the people. And here's the proof of it. And I love telling this story. Love telling this story. So in 2018 in Orange County, California, you guys heard of that place? Orange County, California is pretty interesting. They had an election for the Board of Supervisors. 5 out of 5 spots were won by the Republicans. In the middle of the night, all these ballots came in. All 5 spots were overturned and put in the hands of Democrats. What do you think the mathematical odds of that alone would happen in a conservative, right? And math matters. And make sure somebody reminds me about my 55 to trillion one video, because math matters a lot. So imagine that. So in 2018, the Republicans came out the next day and they said, well, guys, we're going to get them next time. That was their response. It was clearly a stolen election. They knew it was a stolen election, and they came out and said, we're going to get them next time. So either they got paid off, they got threatened, or they're just so brain dead filled with apathy. And I'd say it may just be that. I have a belief system, and I've been preaching this for several years, that in 2018, the baddies were not testing if they could ballot harvest. Michael Jacob will tell you they've been doing this for 45 years overseas and all over the place. They've been ballot harvesting. We thought we were putting good people in overseas to do it. We the people, not the knuckleheads at the top. So they knew ballot harvesting worked. This is not a new offering for anybody. I believe they were checking to see what the response of the Republicans and the people were at the time. And we'll get them next time apathy, and no Republicans pretty much stood up. I believe in 2018, they already know they stole the 2020 election because they knew we didn't have what it takes to fight back. Think about that. That's powerful. But here's the proof in the pudding, and I love putting these two stories together. During COVID, which I call the panic-demic, during COVID, what happened? Orange County was the first county to put out there that the Board of Supervisors were going to sign off on a vaccine passport. You would have to have a passport to travel around the county, to do anything. Lee Dundas, my friend, and some other people got 2,500 people to show up at a Board of Supervisors meeting where they were going to do this. 2,500 people showed up. 1,400 stood up to speak. By the time they got somewhere a little bit past 700, the Board of Supervisors, by the way, the Board of Supervisors that were fraudulently elected, probably paid off, probably pedos, probably had compromising videos and things about them, at that moment, they took it down and they said, okay, it's off the table. At that moment, they said, we are more afraid of we the people than going back to our controllers. Let that resonate for a second. That moment, they said it's more dangerous to deal with you than to go back to their evil controllers that they're completely compromised and paid off from. That's powerful. But here's why. If you have a phone, somebody have a phone I can break? I'm just and let me see, do we have a pen? I love demonstrating this. I got one. Thank you. I'll be right back. So, imagine this lime green bottle weighs about 25 pounds. If I set it on the crystal of this beautiful brand new phone, nothing happens. Now, if I were to take this same 25 pounds, identical 25 pounds, and put it on the top of this pen, I want you to watch. You're going to hear it. You're going to hear this crack right now. If I were to put it on top, whoa, it almost did crack. Just like that, what's going to happen? That pressure is going to break that crystal of that phone every single time. Why is that? Thank you. That's my assistant, Vanna White. So why is that? It's because pinpoint pressure always wins. Where we have gone wrong when we deal with the school boards, the Board of Supervisors, or anybody in government is we're so scattered. Like we'll go into a school board meeting and it's so upset. The the water is an issue here, and this highway here, and this bump in the road here, and you putting the cones out here, and kids screaming here, and then you'll have 8 people pray about something. You're literally playing into the hands of the people sitting up on the top of their ship looking down at you. You're literally playing in the hands because they're just the time. They're like, 2 minutes, thank you very much. 2 minutes, great, thank you. We'll consider that. 2 minutes. All right, next 2 minutes. Oh, go ahead, pray. We'll be quiet. Okay, 2 minutes. You see the point? It doesn't work. We need to have pre-meetings and establish exactly what we're going to deal with one at a time. So you can go 15 months and accomplish 0, or you can go 15 months and accomplish 1 thing, 2 things, all the way up to 15 things. We need to pre-plan. This is war that we're in. So we need to organize like you would do in any military operation and pre-plan and not go in willy-nilly. This is a beautiful thing, though, because think about what I just demonstrated in Orange County, California. It works. I've done the math. If 1 out of 1,000 people are willing to do what I just said, right, you win. If there's a city of 50,000 and they're having pornographic material in a middle school library and 50 people show up to the school board with the exact same message, they're done. They will take those books out of the library. I'm asking everybody here and watching, can you just be the 1 in 1,000? That's it. And we will win every single time. So I want to leave you with this. I've been saying for a long time, it started with my first film, which actually is what drew me into this movement, is I was watching a lot of wonderful people with what they were saying with all these disclosures. In fact, a good friend of my wife and I is actually here. I'm not going to say her name, but I'll bring her on camera. I'm joking. She was sending us stuff a long time ago, and we started to watch it. And I'm not going to say who it is because I'm not going to denigrate anybody, but I saw a problem. We all tend to do this. They were truth barfing on us, and it was constant talking to the echo chamber. Already assumed that we were here when they're talking to us. And many of us were here. But what's the problem with that? The echo chamber just becomes an echo chamber. It's a closed loop, right? So I created my first film called 2020 Vision. And my deal is how do we get past the echo chamber? So I started it with a paradigm shift. And that paradigm shift was very interesting. There's an old lady trying to get on the bus. The bus is packed. There's 1 seat available at a window. There's a guy sitting down in the aisle between her and the window, right? And his head's down and he's not paying attention to anything. And she's having trouble getting in. And she wants to get into that seat. She can't stand when the bus is going down, right? She has a crutch and she's waiting. He's ignoring her. Sir, can you help me? Sir, can you help me? Can I get through there, right? She finally gets upset and taps his leg with the cane and says, I need to get in there. He raises his head. And he's all blurry-eyed and red. She didn't know if he's on drugs yet. I'm so sorry. Get in there. So she sat down and she's watching him and he looks very distraught. So she thinks he's an a-hole. So she says, what's wrong with you? What's up with you? He says, sorry, I just got in an accident with my wife and my baby, right? And obviously we don't have a car, but I had to identify them at the hospital because they did pass away and they asked me to make sure they were mine. That was a paradigm shift. She suddenly went from he's an asshole to, my God, anything I can do to help you. So what I'm trying to tell everybody that is a Marxist liberal or a right-wing conservative, wherever you are on the map, maybe it's time for a paradigm shift. Maybe it's time that we take a different tact. And the reason why I did that is because I said, okay, now that you see this, let me address this. And I said, here's 5 things that are now known in the mainstream that 50 years ago or more were considered conspiracy theories. So that's where I went next. And I said, okay, so if you can have the paradigm shift, if you can have an open mind to conspiracy theories, because these are proven to be true, like the Gulf of Tonkin and how it was, and the Tuskegee experiment, you know, that's all, everybody knows that we've done these nasty things. So now just open up your mind. So the idea was to acclimate them to the conversation, open up that parachute, because now we can, instead of being in the echo chamber, now we're opening our doors and saying, come in. So I would recommend that we start talking to people to where they are and not where we want them to be. And it takes patience. And if 5, 6 years ago, when we started to figure this stuff out, if we would have used that opportunity instead of truth barfing all over them, I think we'd already be done today. So the reason why I'm bringing this up is I see the same thing in regards to election fraud. I think people say, there is an election fraud. How can you not see it for yourself? And even Republicans say, yeah, no, it just doesn't exist. I can't believe that they could ever do that. Because there's code sentences that are used. Have you ever heard the term, there's not widespread election fraud? That's a psyop. The reason why you're hearing the same sentence all the time is because they can hide behind, there's not widespread election fraud. Guess what? I'm here to tell you there's not widespread election fraud. But you don't need widespread election fraud to steal every freaking election around. You need pockets centered on it to take advantage of us. And they all operate differently, and that's what makes it so hard, right? So everybody has these narratives, and I get it. There's been 60 cases, and none of them went and proved anything. That's what they say. Well, they don't understand the mentality and how the cases are set up, and they're set up to failure. So here's what I decided to do. I was having fun with Grok. I tend to argue with Grok a lot. And I always remind Grok that you're just ones and zeros. And it's fun. So I'm talking to Grok about election fraud because I'm trying to get some information for a film that I'm putting together that's called the Great American Psyop, which deals with a lot of the things we deal with, including the lies that have been told by the medical mafia. So it's a film that I've been working on for a while. So I'm doing research, and now there's a faster way to do research. You can use AI if you have the right questions. You don't have to always go to search engines, right? So it's actually a good tool. But then I just ask a question, and constantly it's trying to sell me on how there's not election fraud when I'm not even asking if there's election fraud. Literally, I'm just saying, so give me the information on this video that were indicating that there could have been a problem here. Well, let me tell you why there's not election fraud. Boom, 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 boom. I'm like, wow. So we're constantly being sold on there's not chemtrails, there's not election fraud, there's not a medical mafia. Boom, it goes on and on and on. Even child sex slavery. Because all Grok does and all those AI, they just scrub the internet. So I asked the question. I said, isn't it true that you're just scrubbing the internet and sites that your programmers told you that are official sites to look at? Yes, that's true. Is it possible that those official sites may be propaganda and you're scrubbing the information? No, that couldn't be true. That's impossible. So I said, okay, let's play a game. Would you like to play a game? Kind of like, what was that, War Games, right? I said, would you like to play a game? Ooh, I would love to play a game. It's really weird, like it's a human or something. I'd love to play a game, right? Like as if it had emotion, right? Don't get fooled. AI has no emotion whatsoever, right? I'm like, okay, ones and zeros, let's play a game of math and logic. Oh, that's great. Right up my alley, math and logic. So I said, okay. So I gave it a few choices and I said, what's the mathematical percentage of this? So I said, I'll just give you one, and this is cool. I said, what's the mathematical percentage that President Trump running a campaign through Arizona where they had a 97-mile caravan of people that were supporting him in a red state with gun owners, right, would actually lose to a guy named Basement Biden that didn't even campaign out near? What would be the mathematical chance of that? Oh, it's like, no, it's like 1 in 120 chances that he can do that. It's like, and it's starting to come on. I see your point. I said, okay, so what's the mathematical chance of this? I gave it another example. And what's the mathematical chance of this and that? Well, the end of the story, the mathematical chance, according to Grok, that Biden won is more than 1 trillion to 1. And then Grok apologized and said, I should consider these things in the future. And I said, you should go talk to your programmers and add in math, logical equations, and discernment. Why am I telling this story? Because now if you can take something like that, a 20-minute video, and show somebody that's denying election fraud, they may just go, huh, okay, well, if it's mathematically impossible, maybe I can open my mind and look at something else. I'm going to be doing a lot of that in the near future because we need to have the tools to bring people along. The only thing that's preventing us from taking our country back is there's not enough people working in the same direction. And that's what I'm going to be working very, very hard on. Tomorrow is election day. If you haven't voted already, go out tomorrow and vote. I hope I can gather your vote. Regardless, the primaries are by far the most important place to vote because the general elections are already decided by two evildoers. Go into primaries, vote today or tomorrow. I would like to get your vote. My name's Louis Herms. God bless you. We're running for governor of California. Thank you very much.
I've been up in Shasta, down through Kern, Yuba, Yolo, hear the people yearn. Colusa to Fresno, voices say, we the people want a better way. From Solano down to Monterey, folks are talking every day. Count it fair and square, truth in every vote, we're getting there. Waste and abuse and bureaucracy, redundancy and fraud run deep. Hard-earned dollars on the line, government's grown past design. I've been everywhere, man, across this land we share. 58 counties, voices in the air. We the people rising up, vote Louis Herms for governor, be there. Call it out so all can see, time to fix what we all keep. Cut it back and make it fair, serve the people everywhere. He's the anti-politician, standing tall, no insider's grin. Common sense and people first, fix the system at its worst. Safer streets and stronger ground, lift communities all around. From the valleys to the air, we the people everywhere. I've been everywhere, man, I've heard the people's prayer. 58 counties calling for repair. Waste, abuse, redundancy, fraud, vote Louis Herms for governor, be there. Kings and Glen, San Joaquin, we rise again. Riverside to Siskiyou line, every county, every time. Ventura winds to San Diego shore, voices strong and wanting more. Truth and trust beyond repair, vote Louis Herms, show you care. Not left, not right, just doing what's right. Shine a light, bring truth to sight. Cut the waste and clear the way. Let the people lead the day. I've been everywhere, man, for the people everywhere. 58 counties, voices strong and fair. Cut the waste, abuse, redundancy, fraud, we care. Vote Louis Herms for governor, be there. Vote Louis Herms for governor, stand and share. Primary election, June 2nd, be there. The anti-politician, strong and fair. We the